Hey guys, it's Steve Jensen, Dr. J from the National Sales Academy and Impact Training, and obviously the Sales Authority Club. This is the SAC Success Seat. And what we do is we pick some of our superstars that have gone on a journey and have become incredibly successful, not just in sales, but also in driving other people and helping other people be successful and be part of a team, but also driving businesses. So we've got a great community in the Sales Authority Club. And I know you chat with each other and so forth, and we have great times at our quarterlies, but because of COVID and so forth, we're not getting to meet each other as often. And I thought we'd get everyone in the little SAC Success Seat and get to know each other so you can reach out and have a conversation and share some of the golden nuggets that everyone has in their head, but sometimes we don't know about. So today, I'm really excited about interviewing my good mate and absolute superstar, Darren Taylor from IVCM. I've been working with Darren and the team there for some time now, and it's just been awesome to see what Darren's accomplished. Incredibly accomplished in the technical component in financial services. However, he's so damn good at it, and he's been driving teams and so forth, he wanted to challenge himself. And what he then did, he took it on another genre to actually learn how to excel in communication and actually helping people make good decisions. We call that sales. So he's going to tell us about his journey and some of the golden nuggets that he's taken along the way. And he's going to share with you some things that you might take into play. So welcome, Darren. Thanks for joining me.
Hi, Steve. Thank you very much.
All the way from the UK, is that right?
All the way from the UK. Yeah, can't you tell from the accent, Steve?
The guys actually have to know that you came over here, you went back there to see your family, but then you got stuck there because of COVID. So you're doing an awesome job by making everything happen from the UK, and hopefully we'll get you back and we'll get you into the NRL and become a Manly supporter. That'll be terrific.
Indeed, yeah. Still learning about all these different football and soccers and rugby union. I've got to get that one right, I think, Steve. Still.
I am English, and your soccer is football. It is with a round ball. I don't know why they call the others. But anyway, that's another conversation.
Indeed.
Look, mate, before we get started, I'm sure everyone wants to know, who is Darren Taylor? So tell us a bit about your journey so far and how you got involved in financial services and where you are now. Just as a Reader's Digest version, because, ladies and gentlemen, this man is a detailed guy and he'll give you all the details. So I have to hold it back a little bit here.
Yeah, indeed. No, I got involved in, I suppose, in finances back in sort of around about 2001 in the UK, working really for what's now known as AMP. So massive Australian company. Got myself, I suppose, asked the question why, but yeah, in the pension sector, always known that plenty of wealth was in the pension sector and was quite challenging and, as you say, very technical minded. So it appealed to me, probably regrettably, but it's a pathway that I've been in since sort of 2001. And up to about 2009 was continuously really working as a technical consultant, really on projects and sorting businesses out. Businesses were being bought by the likes of AMP, they bought MPI, London Life. And it was just to go in and sort out the business back end, really, and try and reduce the staff levels and make everything more functional. So that was my driver. And then, the challenges were really at Pearl that they like to sort of keep your steady characters on board. And I needed more challenges. So I was sort of asked to go and work for another company in the UK again, to do with technical side. I did that for 3 years and set up a company, which was fantastic, and then was asked by my current employer, IVCM, really to come out and be a technician for them in about 2013 in Dubai. So challenges to move abroad and all that with the family was quite challenging. Obviously, different country, driving on the different side of the road and all that sort of jazz. But IVCM's been very, very good in the fact, I suppose, to myself and to all of us as a family, and that we've always challenging with the differences in the jurisdictions in the pension sector from the UK, and obviously we also look at what we're doing now is QROPS, which is basically is UK pension transfers to either mainly Australians that have worked in the UK or UK POMI people, as we call them, that have moved out to Australia to retire. Obviously, as you say, with the technical background, you're always going to get a little bit sort of versatility in your job, where people will ask you to do, technical processes. I do writing for the website, but also, been dragged into sales, been asked to do some sales, and get into that area. Currently dealing with Queensland, expanding Queensland with the advisor book of business. We didn't really have anybody in Queensland at the time. And learning from you, Steve, has been fantastic with the help that you've been giving us. So that's currently probably where I am in my journey. Probably at the moment is there. And obviously we deal with direct clients as well on the phones coming to us as the first point of call.
You've actually been one of the guys that have been spearheading taking it from the phone onto Zoom. We did a little training a little while ago, and I must say, of all the people we've shown it, you're the ones that actually taking it on board so quickly. And now you get them to eyeball much faster, and you're getting significant success. So Darren is a fantastic implementer. He just does it, and then he asks great questions and puts it into practice. So kudos to you, mate, because going from a technical component, and not just for our listeners, going from a technician, person that understands the processes, and then going from that way of thinking to then go into a communicative model, which allows people to have a conversation where they don't need all the detail and all the intricacies, but the brain of the technician wants to give them that because they don't want to leave anything out. And what happens, it becomes really challenging for someone to change from that. And I must say, Darren has done a phenomenal job at doing this. Really, I mean, I'm not just waving a flag because you're here. I've said it a number of times. What you've done in this last period of time has been outstanding. And your results, we'll talk about your results in a moment. So what sort of clients do you work with, and how can they work with IVCM?
Yeah, so our clients sort of twofold, I suppose. So you got the direct clients, as I say, that are people that have worked in the UK. So they're all 55 and over, just due to the ruling. So people that are either returning to Australia, whether they've just landed here or whether they've been here 20, 30 years, as long as they're over 55 and they've worked in the UK and they've worked for a company and got a company pension, then we can help them. The other side of our business, obviously, is working with advisors throughout Australia, and basically onboarding them and helping them really with a cross-border solution, because the advisors are Australian based, they're regulated from an Australian perspective, and I suppose the roadblocks and the issues and the problems that they get is the UK element to it. They don't probably know it very well. They probably haven't been there or lived there themselves, and so that's where we come in, really. So we're coming in to help them from that UK and that cross-border solution, and yeah, whatever that means, whether it means a roadblock that needs another roadblock, there's always a solution that we've got that we can help that advisor with, or the client directly.
From what you've taught me with what you do, because I'll never know all the ins and outs of what you do, my friend, but one of the big things you help them avoid is the massive problems with death duties, and also with excessive tax. So by working with you, and all the ins and outs on how to make sure that they get as much of their money across as simply as possible without all of the rigmarole of all the red tape. You cut the red tape, make sure it's done all properly, and you save them a significant amount of money, don't you?
Indeed, yeah. I mean, tax is a massive one for them. As I said to you during the weeks gone by, it's been set out. We're in a fortunate position where we are the only retail provider that does this in Australia. So we have got the monopoly, and we're lucky that we've got that. From a UK perspective as well, if you lived in the UK, you would probably keep your money in the UK if you still live there. But these clients don't. They live in Australia, and this is what this product's been set up for. It's been set up to bring those clients across and to help them out. And the reason to help them out significantly would be their tax. Tax saving is a massive thing for clients most of the time.
If we do it wrong, if we do it wrong, we actually make some big mistakes. I know that.
No, indeed. If you do it wrong, why pay the tax man when you can just pay a a fee, which our fee is obviously a lot less than the tax man. So yeah, that's obviously a common question that we'll raise to the clients. You know, you ask what's your fees. They ask us. It's like, well, do you want to pay me $1,000 or do you want to pay the tax man 20,000? You know, it's not really that difficult.
Well, I love what you said, and IVCM does have a corner in the marketplace when they have the USP, and it's unique. So if anyone listening, if you've got a pension you want to bring over, I mean, this is the man to speak to. So touche to you. Okay, now we've been working together. We do, we work together as a team, but also you're part of our Sales Authority Club. It's been terrific having you part of it. And I'd love to ask a question. Now you're part of the Sales Authority Club. When you first got involved, what was one of the problems or challenges that you'd like to have help with to fix, to make sure you upgraded your skills or learnt new ones? What were some of the things that you needed help with?
Well, I do actually remember, I think one of the first things is actually you identified it yourself. I actually was in the office and you'd been in our office training us that day, and you said to me, you said, oh, goodness me, great technician, got lots of information, this guy. But I remember you saying to me that I'd spent, I think, about half an hour on the phone, and you said you was just giving them too much information. You don't need to do it. You need to draw it back. And I just thought about it just probably for, a couple of minutes and thought, yeah, you're right. I'm just giving them far too much information, far too many variables, and confusing the customer. I think, I took that on board, and I think my calls now probably average about 15 minutes, from the first point of call. So they've literally halved, and that's just down to keeping it simple. If they don't know, if the customer doesn't know, ask them. If they don't, if they still don't know with their paperwork in front of them, they scan it across to me now. So just little things like that have really helped. I think what I've really loved as well is that you're giving us that insight to the disc training and the personalization from people. That's been a massive help, because it's just really made me understand people. I think as before the SAC, I was just treating everybody as the same, and probably getting frustrated myself, thinking, why doesn't this person know this? And I think with the D and the I and the S and the C, you just know who you're speaking to. So I think even from dealing with people that are kind of a steady character, I do allow them a little bit more time to make that decision, because there's no kind of point in hurrying them up, because they're just not that kind of character. As with I spoke to somebody yesterday who was a D, and he's bullet pointing everything he wants to do, and he's like, let's get it done. So like you say, what we've done is we've already arranged a Zoom for tomorrow, so he's going to be signed up. It's just little things like that have really made a big difference. And yeah, appreciate your help and your support on it. It's been makes a massive difference.
Well, it's been a pleasure, mate. But what gives me absolute massive pleasure and joy is when I get a question from an expert like yourself and say, oh, I've got this thing, what strategy? And you take off that ego hat and you just say, can we have a chat about it? Because there's always a good way to have a conversation. And then once you take it on board, you take the notes and then you just do it. And I just love the text or the call back. Oh, I got this and this took place. And I know it makes you happy, but that just gives me absolute joy. But the implementers, my friend, the doers, they're the people that go places. So touche to you. That's good. It's been great to see what you've done. Now, got a question here. We do lots of things in the Sales Authority Club. We have our weekly bits, we have our check-ins, we have our weekly meetings and all that stuff. And we have our quarterly workshops, which are a lot of fun. And then we also have our Q&A. So there's lots of things we do. But what are 2 or 3 things you really have enjoyed with the Sales Authority Club? And, what's the biggest impact it's had for you?
Yeah, I've really liked, to be honest with you, I've liked the sort of the day training sessions we've had, or the half daily training sessions that we've had. And again, even though that disc training, I do find it fascinating, and I'm actually just constantly looking at it, all the time, even on a Saturday or a Sunday. That's how sad I've probably become. But yeah, I just find it fascinating, and even in the personal life as well. I can actually sit down in the pub now and see these different characters. It's just fascinating. So I absolutely love that. I do like the SAC Club in the fact that it also, you get to meet new people from new organisations. But just everything that we do, really, from, you know, like the W's and the hows and the, you know, what, whys and whens, and, you know, you've helped us with even like the phone sheets. We know we use those all the time. Obviously they're good pointers when you're on the call, because if you've got a blank piece of paper, you just generally forget. But I think everything that you've helped us with, if I'm honest, every training session we've had, we've always taken something from it, and we just implement it, you know. So
you are very good at doing. You are an implementer. And guys, listen to what Darren is saying. Very kind with his words and what he's learned. But well and good teaching people things, but Darren actually implements it. And because we in the club, what we do hold people accountable. A little bit what we've done, but you've actually come across with the stories, and it's really inspiring. And when people see people doing things, it inspires others. That's one of the reasons we want to have these little conversations, because little nuggets, like just what you just said, helps people do the same thing. So if we put it into perspective, I think you've said a couple of little things. We might just reiterate on them. What's the most useful skill or strategy in particular? You know, with lots of names for them. From your point of view, what's the most useful skill and strategy that's you've learned that you've been able to make a difference?
I think the taking the time on the phone, listening. I think, you know, listening to what they're actually asking, not just going. I think before it probably was easy just to go off on a tangent. You know, calls would be the same. You know, got to get all the spiel out. As you say, it takes half an hour. Absolutely, probably confused the client more so than I needed to. And I think it's just listening to what they need. Asking questions. I think that's also a key thing you've said before. Ask open questions. You know, in our case, it's, have you got a defined benefit scheme? Listen. Have you got a defined contribution scheme? Listen. Let them talk. I think that's the key thing, as well as when you start the call. From our perspective, is you introduce yourself, and then you just say, right, you know, because a lot of clients have done their due diligence. They've done a bit of work. You know, they've looked on our website, so you know what they're doing before they phoned up. It's finances in our industry, so you know it's their life savings. So it's understandable what they're going to be doing. And I just sort of say to them, oh, you've done your due diligence. You know, I can see your age from your inquiry. I can see you're in Perth. Tell me a bit about yourself. And then they'll just talk to me for probably about, you know, a few minutes. And and I think that's the key thing. Just shorten the calls down, give them the information that they need, ask open questions and closed questions. And as I said to you earlier, I think from the end of the call, you know, realize who you're speaking to. Is it a D? Is it a dominant person? Is it a cautious person like myself, or is it somebody that's a bit steady, that's going to take 3 or 4 weeks to make a decision? And then just, you know, plan your callbacks or plan your sale around that perspective.
You just actually explained perfectly the process called ALF, ask, listen, formulate, which you know very well. There's ask, listen, formulate. You've also told everybody about understanding the power of either open or closed questions. So we start with, as Evan says, open question. But what you do is start with them closed. So you've got a platform to bounce from. So you've taken that on really well. And you've hit a big rock there. You said, hey, tell me a bit about yourself to get that commonality. In the past, I remember you used to just go straight to work because you're just doing your job. But now you have a chat with them, and you can actually have a bit of a laugh. And then you then give them the good stuff and then wrap it up. So you've actually you've just taken 4 major skill sets and that makes a massive difference in businesses. And so I'm going to come down to results now, mate.
Yeah.
I remember when you went into sales.
Yeah.
We had some changes that were taking place, and you were going to take over a portfolio. We thought it was. But what happened was when we went to that portfolio, the portfolio was relatively barren.
Yeah.
And you then built it up. Now, I'd love to know from your perspective, what results you've been working together, there's a measurable result that you say, wow, you've achieved something that you're proud of. So some numbers, and that you've increased numbers or percentages to share with the guys by putting all these skills into place. What's it actually achieved?
Yeah, right. I think, I was looking at Queensland from an advisory perspective when I first started on the sales side of the business. And you're right, it was pretty much dormant. There wasn't really much coming in from there at all. And if it was just ad hoc. It wasn't because we were selling. It was just by fluke, if I'm honest. So we probably went from about, I don't know, probably getting sort of $300,000-$400,000 maybe out of that area probably per quarter, which was just abysmal. So I was tasked with obviously trying to get to start with up to about $1 million in the door, which then became quite achievable probably within the first 6 months, and then that's been extended now to 2 million. And then that target's been reached. Recently we've smashed that. I think we brought in, $2.3 million, I think, the other month. And this month already, we're only on 8 days and we're nearly at 1.3 million. So, I think it just shows you that, the work and the help that you've given us has been massive. I mean, there wasn't any advisors that we had on the books. We had potentially 2 sort of single guys that were on there that were doing business. One of them has actually now, he's gone his own separate ways. So we really only have 1 advisor, and we're now up to sort of 10 advisory companies there in Queensland that we've got on our books with terms of business. So, within the space of 12 months and being in a pandemic, and your help and support, it's been a massive improvement for the business. And as you say, the results have been fantastic.
Well, thanks, mate. And it's, as I said, you're the doer. And listen what he just said, guys. 200,000-300,000. And what Darren has done is actually gone and taken 1 or 2 advisors. Now he's got 10, and now he's generating the revenues that are plus 2 million. And all of a sudden, at the end of the day, that was taken from a portfolio. So again, that's an outstanding result, and you should be very proud of it, because a lot of people put their hands up in the air, say, what am I supposed to do? But you've actually had significant, and just actually just writing this down because it just puts music to my ears of what you've done. So you should be absolutely tickled pink with that. So with all these skill sets, we talked about it briefly before we started chatting, but I'll just share it with everyone else. How's the skills you're learning in the SAC? By the way, the SAC is not the bed, it's called Sales Authority Club. How's it helped you personally and in professionally? So in personally, how some of these skill sets helped you maybe personally? As you said, you can check out the guys and people at the pub, we can modify it, but how's it helped improve the lifestyle?
From a personal perspective, it's just I think that disc training has helped really. I think just as I said to you earlier, just understanding individuals. People don't always, everybody has an opinion, don't they? But everybody's opinion may be valid. Why? It's just because somebody is a steady character, and we might think, like I've said to you already, my approach to life was always going to be, and my wife says to me all the time, she says, why can't you just sit still? Why can't you just be in one place? Or why have you always got to, move around? She goes, when we got down the end of the altar, you never told me this, but it's the case of, I think you've just got to understand everybody and what they want to do. And it's not, there's a right or wrong. I know people that I've worked with going back to AMP days in 2001. I know now that he's a steady character. I bet you if I went back and drove to the office and walked in the door, I bet he still sat in the same place, having the same lunch. And he's been there, 20 odd years, and he'll still be there. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just, obviously, it's not me. But, I think you've just got to, like you say, you've got to understand people, take it on board and deal with those people. And that's opened up, from a personal level, it's opened up those characters, my friends and that.
You understood it, but actually then you have accept the behavior, and then you can modify yours accordingly if you choose to. I know that even with your communication in with the team now, you make an email either longer or shorter, or emoji on some or whatever. Not what you wouldn't send it yourself, you're sending it to so you've actually changed it quite significantly. All right.
Yeah, indeed. Don't send the CEO a long email.
Okay. So would you recommend anybody out there in sales or in business to join a sales authority club? And if so, why?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, most definitely. You know, I think at the end of the day, I said this the other day to somebody, you never, ever stop learning. And if you think you know everything, then you're not the right person in life. You know, we're all capable of learning more. You know, I think sometimes we get bogged down in our work and we think we know everything, and it's a bit of a eye opener. And as you said, I think take me back to that phone call when I was walking around the office and you was there on the training day, and when you said what you said about oh, great stuff on the phone, great technical knowledge, but one problem, and I'm like thinking, oh shit, you know, what the hell? And I'm thinking, what have I done wrong? And you're like, oh, done nothing wrong. You're just giving them far too much information. You're just confusing them. And from that day forwards, it was just always like, you know, listen to yourself. It's helpful, I think, as well, Steve, is having an external view, you know, because internally sometimes, you know, people don't construe it right. You know, people within your organization might say the same thing, and you might say, well, hang on a minute, you know, but from your point of view, you know, you're saying it from a sales perspective. So regardless of whether it's pensions or it's a gym or whatever it is, you're seeing it in your own eyes. I think that's kind of very helpful. So I would definitely recommend that, you know, the Sales Authority Club, and just as I said to you, even the daily sessions that you hold, there's always loads of value that you can take from them and you can implement into your day-to-day working environment for sure.
Thanks, mate. I appreciate the kind words, and can't do it without implementers such as yourself. And we can teach you and hold accountable, but people can make excuses, but you never make an excuse. You always have a reason and then do. So, guys, this man has made significant success because he's open to making changes, but he makes it his own. It doesn't just, oh, we're just doing it sort of like parrot fashion. It's Darren's formula, but he's modified and used the skills. So when we're going to come down to some of your successes, mate, because you've had a lot. I'd love to know what your biggest win in business that you're most proud of. Now, whether it's with the current company, which you've done significantly well in, or other businesses, what's the biggest win or in sales or in business that you're most proud of?
Well, I think the biggest win, I mean, probably is just the business that we're actually physically in at the moment, if I'm honest. You know, there was many changes in 2017 to this industry. As I said to you earlier, we are the only retail scheme in Australia. There was massive problems in 2015 where 300 of these schemes got taken down. And I think that possibly would be because they were doing the Australian side, not doing the UK side. So obviously I was asked to come to Australia to look at the UK side of it and make sure from a compliant technical background that we've got everything in order. And when I got here, you know, we had, from a business development side of it, we were bringing in cases. We weren't bringing in nowhere near the volume that we're bringing in now, but the balance of the business was wrong. You know, we had the salespeople, but we just didn't have probably the back office. The back office was bottom of the football table, if I'm honest with you, and it needed a lot of sorting out to do. So, you know, coming in, seeing the problems, which is, again, like you say, with the versatile approach that I have, I think with the admin, with the sales, with the, you know, marketing, with all of it had to be seen. So that was the biggest win. Had to come in, sort the office out, sort out all the legal requirements we need to, because it's all right getting the money into our fund, but if somebody does move the money to another fund, there needs to be legal letters that need to be written so that scheme's aware of it. So I had to write to about 80 companies to get all this information on the system. I've had to basically get information into the system because we had nothing from the UK. It was all Australian based, you know, which was not what it needed to be. Everything from spotting the banking money that come in, you know, being there for 2 or 3 days, you know, we then spotted within 24 hours it was allocated. So just the whole operations and organizations, we were posting things to the UK and we weren't having them tracked because we were just sending them to our UK office. And I've managed to sort of, you know, even simple things like speak to DHL and make sure that it's tracked to the door of the company that we're sending it to, again, for protection for the business. But obviously now that's kind of been, you know, sorted out from that perspective, and we're on the the nice way, or the nice train, I suppose. Now it's kind of using your skill set, as you say, to do the sales side of it, which is enjoyable. And as you say, now branching out and getting 2 million in door is great. I'm not obviously full-time sales, as you have always told me, so I split my role, don't I? Just technical and writing for the website and doing sales. It's very enjoyable. But I think this is the biggest achievement, really, is that where the business has come from 2017 to now you can look back and you can be proud of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And it seems to me that you've come in there, systemized everything, peeled it back, got the systems organized, then made the process organized. Now you've got that done. You said, oh, well, I've done that. Now I'm going to venture into sales. And now you're actually smashing your targets. So you've using the system that you help create or upgrade. So that's terrific.
Yeah.
It's nice to talk about it. It reminds you that you actually...
It is, yeah.
Isn't it? It is. Because you don't go back and reminisce, do we? All we got to do, what's going to do tomorrow? Got me on the phone. You made your budget, you know? Okay, now we're going to go on a little bit of a time machine. I love this question. If you were talking to your younger self, let's say 10 years ago, maybe even 15 years ago, I'd love to know, what advice would you give to your younger self? And what would you tell them to do differently to help them have a better lifestyle, more success, and so forth? So from your experience now, you go back to the young Darren and say, mate, make sure you do this. What would it be?
Oh, it's probably a lot of things, Steve, to be honest.
Oh, I'm going to give you the just tell us one. I know you want to give me the detail now. I'm just going to pin you down to one big, a big rock, so to speak. Well, what would you tell me?
Big rock, one big rock, one big rock. It's a difficult one, really, to be honest with you. There are lots of things. I think, I don't know, really. I've got to think about this, to be honest with you. I don't know. I don't think I could change myself. I think, to be honest with you, I would, you know, as I said to you, my wife, she absolutely hates the fact that I just don't sit still, and I'm always, you know, doing stuff. And I've worked, you know, as you know, I've worked in Australia for 2 months, was working in the UK for 2 months. I was working in Dubai for 2 months. And she was like, what on earth are we doing here? You know, we're living in the UAE and you're, you know, all around the world. I'd like to say that I could be that steady character probably, but I know I'm not, and it would never change even if I went back. I don't know. I think there's just things in life that you do, and you know, you do what you feel is right at the time. You know, it's even like having children, isn't it? You know, you have them at a young age, and you think, oh, probably I should have had them, you know, when I was in my 30s, because it would have been a bit more easier on the finances.
Okay, so that would be something you go back to tell Darren, a younger Darren, hey mate, make sure you hold off having your kids have some fun, and then we can do the children a bit later when finance. That could be something for people to consider. You know, some people do.
Yeah.
That could be something. Yeah.
It's always challenging though, isn't it? Life's never perfect, and even that, you know, if you have children later on in life, then you become an old dad. So you know, what is the right, what is the right, what's the wrong? That's the thing, isn't it? Okay. But
so we take it on board for in your sales. So we know now we're pinned by. I know that you're very good at sales, and you've got a lot of other things today. And I've actually pulled you out of doing a very big job, so I really appreciate your time. I want to know what's a one must-do success strategy that works best for you? Not for everyone, but what's a success strategy that works best for you?
Well, I think obviously with this pandemic, and we've spoken about it recently, is that, you know, we get very, very busy in the day, and it's so versatile. And as you said, you've got to get in front of those clients within 24 hours. So you're in and out of meetings, you know, and that. So I've either picking up the phone, speaking to customers, and taking them through the basics. And obviously it's complex industry. So it's easier, as you said, these days to set up a Zoom. And that's one thing that I've really been keen to do with all the stuff that you've taught us about with the SAC and the disc and the open questions. I think now the strategy is to get a Zoom, because if you can get a Zoom, you know, it's like almost 100% success rate with sales. You know,
you're very good at it. You are very good at implementing the processes, but what I'm hearing here, and correct me if I'm wrong here, is a must-do strategy is to connect with your prospect or the client within that 24-hour period. So the swiftness of getting in front of them is really key to then maybe flipping them onto a Zoom or helping them as quickly as possible.
It is.
Urgency and getting that contact. Now, we had a good conversation yesterday at our meeting, didn't we, about what is a contact? Or contact in my world is having a conversation, not just sending them an email. So when we have that chat, we're going to do our very best to try to get hold of them within that 3-day loop. But 24 hours, we all know there's 100% strike rate. You're absolutely right. So that could be a big rock for everyone to listen to Darren. He's walking the talk here.
Yeah.
So if we look at your sales, you've been doing it for a while now, and you know, you're cracking the egg. And as we now measuring the numbers much more stringently, what's one sales strategy or technique that works brilliantly for you?
I think a strategy.
It could be things. Is it the 4 W's? Is it using your why questions, or is it the pausing, or what's a skill that you do that just works every time for you? Just do this and it just get a good outcome. Yeah,
it probably is the what, why, when, and how. Really, I think it just breaks it, especially for us. It just breaks it down. You know, as to exactly what are they trying to do? Because, like you said earlier, it could be tax. You know, but there are differences between the UK and Australia. So you have to understand what the problem is. Why is that problem? You know, how long have they had that money? Because some of these people, as I said to you earlier, they're 55 and over. So if they came back to Australia, we've got people at the moment that are coming back, you know, at 44 and 39, and especially because this pandemic, you know, they're going to have a lot of growth when they bring their money back into Australia. So there are many very different reasons. There's many different variables, and that strategy definitely breaks it down for us to understand how to probably proceed with the sale.
So we're looking at ask, listen, formulate process, and you're using the 4 W's plus H. So you're asking and listening, and then formulating the conversation. And what you do very well is ask a good question, the what, the where, the why, but you ask questions about the answers, and you do that really well. Interesting. A number of the guys and ladies that we've been in the SAC success seat have said the same thing. So it is 80 or 90% of the sale qualification. If we qualify well, we be able to put things to bed. So listen to what Darren's saying. He's doing it every day. All right, now we're coming to the red zone, my friend. I think we always learn more from our mistakes, challenges, or setbacks that we've had. And I'd love to know a specific mistake or big challenge that you had, that you've experienced, that you've actually, you know, in sales or in general, that I made this bloody mistake, and it was a big one. And what was the lesson you learned, and what are you doing now to not do it?
It's always a difficult question, this one. And do you know what? It's not really a sales thing. So
good.
Do correct me if it doesn't fit what you're trying to ask me.
No, any mistake that you've made that to help people not make it.
Well, we did reach out to you on this. We interviewed, didn't we, for an administrator for our office in Sydney, and the first person we interviewed, she was bang on the money. You know, she wasn't very old. She was probably just going to be her first job, but she interviewed very, very well. And I thought she really, really showed a lot of maturity. She was going to, I could see that she was going to take on board the fact that she was going to be having to own the office a little bit, and she would grow in the role. And what we did was we let her obviously leave the interview room and go home, and then we continued with our other 10 candidates that we had to interview over probably the next week or so. And then when it came to interviewing her for the second time, by shock, she'd already got a job somewhere else. She actually got a job at one of the leading banks. So she was in finance. So she was aiming to be in finance. So we did hire somebody. And as you know, it wasn't the right person. We've had to let that person go within the within the 6-month window. And you said to me, you know, next time you'll know that if you think it's the one, you need to get that second interview booked in either there and then with the CEO, if that's who it's to be with, or just don't let it happen. Don't interview all the people and then go back to the start, because you've learned your lesson now that unfortunately the one you wanted is gone. I think that's stuck with me for a little bit of time, and it still pains me a little bit to this day, because we still haven't got that sorted out in our office. And I to this day know that if we did employ that person, she would still be sat in our office at the moment. So it's a regret, but it's a learning curve, isn't it?
Learning, but what a great insight, guys. Listen to what Darren's saying. He's spot on the money. You find the one, and it's yes, they fit the bill. You move on to the second interview quickly, and you can still keep doing the first interviews, but when you find the right one, just move forward on it. And it's and the good ones always go quickly. If they're any good, they're going to be snapped up. So guys, listen.
Exactly.
It's and listen to this. That's a while ago now, and you're still thinking about it. So it was a lesson learned.
Yeah.
We're going to do it together next time, so we're going to be doing it a little differently. So when you get back here, we'll have the right people in place.
Wow. Indeed. Yeah.
Coming to that wrap up for our stuff, Darren. It's just been awesome talking to you, mate. I mean, it's good reminiscing a little bit, isn't it?
It is.
A big rock activity. I love to. It's like in sales. We're going to go right into that sales, because you now do sales, but also the other things. If you were to give the seasoned veterans out there, and also the rookies that are listening to us in the Sales Authority Club and elsewhere, because other people will see this, what's one big rock piece of advice that you could give them so they can have some success?
Well, I think, you know, for myself, really, to be honest with you, when I started this, you probably remember as well, is as you know, I'm a C player and very cautious and very technical, and our technical people get a bit of a bad rep, don't we? We get, you know, we're kind of the cautious characters. The more, you know, we'll stand at the back of the room, we'll speak to a few people, but we'll suss everybody out. So I think from my perspective, it took me out of my comfort zone a little bit. It's not that I don't enjoy speaking to customers. I enjoy speaking to people, but I find sales sometimes, you know, you have to kind of be a little bit, you know, over nice, creepy a little bit. So, you know, creep around and be nice to them all the time. But it's opened my comfort zones up. I think it's made me, and my advice to people is, it just shows you that whoever you are and whoever your character is, you can do anything. You know, you just need to learn a new skill set. So sometimes pushing yourself from one skill set to another, it is a good thing, you know. And that's the advice I would give anybody, is that people say, and I think you've said this to me before, people say in your SAC club, they're not salespeople. I probably have said the same, but I'm definitely more confident now with the disc training, with the, you know, with the W's and the H. I'm just so more confident. I can go into Zooms, I can go into phone calls, and I can control the call. As before, as you say, it was just so complex. It was too much information. So the advice for me would be, for anybody, whether you're rookie and you're debating whether you can go into sales, you know, you can. You just got to give it your best shot. Learn from people around you. Don't feel alone. And the experts in the world, like as I said to you before, I think we're always learning. So be open-minded. Listen to what people are telling you. As you said to me before, with being a C player, you know, don't take criticism too harsh. You know, just listen and see the point of views. Like you said to me about my technical conversations. Too long, 30 minutes too long. Narrow it down. Just listen, take it on board, and adjust. That's probably what my advice would be.
Well, hear what Darren just said. Don't do it alone. Help other people, listen to advice. And also, Darren says he's cuts to the chase and so forth, but I've heard what he does on the phone now. He is the rapport king. Before he used to cut to the chase, get straight into the stuff, but he will actually have a conversation. He said he doesn't, you know, he can talk about it till the cows come home. He's very good, but he's skilled and he knows what he's doing. He's in conscious competence. So it's a credit to you, and it's even more so than most, because you've gone from one extreme and learned a skill set that was not in your repertoire, but you've actually really starting to become incredibly good at it. And you're going to be able to teach other people to do the same thing. So congratulations on everything you're doing, because you're a doer. Well done.
Thanks, Steve.
Okay. So what's the next couple of years look like for Darren? What's some of the short-term things you want to get done, and how things looking for you in the future?
Yeah, well, as you very well know, I'm trying to get back to Australia, and I'll keep saying it to everybody. You keep letting in these celebrities to Scott Morrison. He wants to let Darren Taylor back in the country, but yeah. So I'm trying to get back. I'm trying to very, very difficult. And it's a very painful conversation. Is that visa? They probably could do with some SAC training, really, on how to, they call themselves solutions, but there's no solutions at the moment because it's pandemic. So I think next 2-3 years, yeah, definitely to get back, and obviously we're trying to grow that office. As you said, we're going to try and employ a few people there in the office from an admin perspective, and we're going to push on with these sales. Obviously, we're trying to grow the business in terms of financial advisors all over Australia. So, business development wise, it's going to be some growth, I think, in the company. Yeah. And obviously get the family out there, and who knows, they might want to put me in a regional office in the Gold Coast. So, that'd be good, wouldn't it? Eh? Somewhere nice. So any recommendations from anybody, where the nicest places are in Australia, I'll take them on board, and I can put them to the CEO.
He's open to any conversation. Well, Darren, it's been absolutely a delight, and great wisdom, and also some fantastic insights of making some changes, but also some of the successes you've had. And I really want to thank you for sharing some of the challenges and how you've actually rectified them. So guys, listen to what he's told you. This man is a doer. So I really appreciate your time. I know how busy you are, but thanks for joining us in the SAC Success Seat. It's just been awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. It's always a pleasure.
Guys and girls, how good was that? You got a young man who's been incredibly successful in one area. He said, well, I'm now going to change it and just going to challenge myself to go outside my comfort zone. Sure, he's done some stuff in the Sales Authority Club, but listen to what he's done. He does it. It's the doing. It's actually the doing where's the learning, and it's the implementation where you get the success. So if you want to reach out to Darren, we're just going to, before we wrap him up, how can people get in contact with you, maybe to have a chat or even talk about IVCM, getting their pensions over? How can they get hold of you, mate? What's the best way?
Best way is always by phone, Steve.
So
always.
What's the best number to get you on then?
Best number to contact me on is 0431 529 380.
I'm going to say it again because everyone's grabbing the pen now.
I sure can. I can hear them all grabbing the pen. So yes. So anybody, relatives or family members 55 or over that's worked in the UK is 0431 529 380.
Terrific. Well, thanks again, my friend. I really appreciate your time, and we'll talk to you real soon.
Yeah. Thanks, Steve.
All right, gang. Isn't that awesome? Isn't it wonderful listening to the stories, and now you're getting to know everybody? So reach out to Darren, have a chat, and share some ideas, and he can help you do lots of different things, not just in your pension, but also in making changes in your business and becoming a successful sales professional. All right, gang. Well, I'll see you soon with another superstar in the SAC Success Seat. So I'll see you soon. Bye for now.